Here we have the post-Exorcist. Oh boy. So it starts off with this priest by the name of Father Gabriel. He's at this house right now. He's talking to this little girl. And he starts telling her to pray. But not for the little girl, actually for her brother. Now her brother's being taken over by some type of demon, right? So the thing he's going to do is convince the devil to switch bodies in place of a pig that was outside. I'm thinking to myself, there's no way he's going to be able to pull this off, right? And that's exactly what it does. Once the devil switches over, they end up killing the pig. It's like, the fuck? That's how the movie starts. This is like the first time I've ever seen a demon try to possess an animal. Now he's doing all this in Italy. Now we go to Spain. This is like 1987, right? So you got this lady by the name of Julia and her two kids, Amy and Henry. So they're coming from the U.S. to Spain. Now, why are they coming all the way out to Spain? To live in this house at one time used to be a church. Now, how did they get this church? Well, when you get to this church, so they got construction workers still working on the place. So it's like, what else do they need to work on? Well, apparently she wants to get it fixed up. All right, so here's the deal. Her husband passed away right now. We don't know exactly why yet. Apparently, he left this church in Julia's will. Now, why again? Why does she still want to live there? All right, here's the thing. Julia done fell on hard times and her income is kind of low. So what she's going to do is fix up this church and flip it up, sell it, you know what I'm saying? And then go back home to the U.S. or whatever. Because Amy clearly doesn't want to be there. As far as Henry goes, the thing is, Henry doesn't talk. He's not saying nothing. Then we find out Henry hasn't spoken in a year. It's crazy, right? Then we go back to Father Gabriel. He's supposed to be in a meeting with this dude named Sullivan and a bunch of other delegates. So apparently they heard about the situation with him and the pig, and they were like, well, there wasn't really a pope present or anything like that or whatever, so that's what they had a problem with. But that's all bullshit, because the real reason why they're pressing him is about the situation that happened with this one girl by the name of Rosaria. We'll get to that in a minute. So afterwards, he goes to visit Pope Samuel, you know what I'm saying, because that's the person he works for. Now we get back to the house. Henry ends up going downstairs to the basement. He sees this hole inside of a wall or whatever like that, and it's got this symbol in the background. He's just like staring into it with his eyes all bugged out. Next thing we know, Henry's back in his room. A couple of construction workers go down in the basement. They look through the door too or whatever like that. They're trying to see what's ever in his room, so they break a couple of the bricks or whatever like that. One dude lights like a little flash joint, like a sparkler or whatever, but once that happens, like this big old flame comes through the doors and wipes them up. I'm like, oh shit, the flame just burnt these niggas. They didn't die, but they're pretty fucked up. So apparently they think they hit a gas line or something like that, and because of that, they're like, all right, we can't work on this house no more, you know what I'm saying? So basically, she's pretty much fucked. So you think to yourself, Julia gonna have to find herself a job doing something, right? Julia goes to her daughter Amy and tells her to check up on their son Henry or whatever. So they end up going to check on Henry, and then Henry's just like, just going off. And I'm just like, what the fuck? Is he possessed? He's got like blood right on his stomach that says here. I'm like, what is this? Got scratches all over his face. We're like, what the fuck is going on? They take her to the hospital, but the hospital can't see nothing. They think that everything's all clear and normal, whatever like that. They just give him a thing of sedatives and shit. So while the Pope Samuel is talking to Father Gabriel, all of a sudden, you know what I'm saying, he's got that vision. He hears the call, whatever like that. Then he tells Samuel to go to Spain. While that's going down, Julia doesn't know what to do. Oh, they got a father there by the name of Father Thomas, right? Henry still possesses, yelling at Amy like, go get the priest. Father Thomas goes in there, he gets thrown out the room, and Henry's like, that's the wrong priest. So finally, Father Gabriel shows up, you know what I'm saying? And now it's one-on-one, Gabriel and Henry. So then possessed Henry starts talking shit, and then he's like, yeah, I know your name, Gabriel. Gabriel finds out this demon's more powerful than your average demon. Then he starts digging into his past about Rosario. Then he digs into more of his past when he used to be an actual war vet. I'm like, what? Apparently he was sent over there to kill Germans, but the Germans got the drop on him and left his whole crew dead as shit. I don't know how the heck he survived. Maybe it's the fact he just had faith in God. But if you saw the scene, they were like lambs led to the slaughter. They all would have been dead as shit. So the thing is, when priests try to do these incantations and stuff like that, they try to figure out the name of the demon, you know what I'm saying? Because if they can say the name of the demon, it weakens their power or whatever. So they got to figure out his name, do all these incantations before the demon takes over Henry for good. And you know what? Now that I think about it, how the hell does Henry get possessed inside of a church? I thought that was hollow ground, you know what I'm saying? I thought demons and Satan couldn't go near places like that, you know what I mean? Living in the fucking, in the ground. Anyway, it might make sense when I tell you what happens later, I guess, but anyway. So while Gabriel's talking to Father Thomas, we get some backstory of what happened with the Rosario thing. It turns out he never tried to save her life because this is the thing. They thought she was possessed or whatever like that, but it turned out she just had a mental illness. So at the time, Father Gabriel thought it was beneath him or whatever like that, right? He finds out she ends up going to the top of this clock tower and then she just commits suicide. I'm like, oh shit. Now, between this time of dealing with her, she had convinced herself she was making them all types of sexual scandals and things of that nature. So that's why Sullivan and the dudes were not fucking with him about that shit. But of course, Gabriel never did none of those things, you know what I'm saying? So here's the thing, when Henry got possessed, he actually spoke and called for his mom. We're like, oh shit, this nigga ain't talking like a whole year. So this is why he hadn't really spoke like that. It turns out when his father died, he was actually in the car with him. It ended up being an accident on the road. A tree got impaled in his dad's face. Henry was in the back seat the whole time. He saw this shit happen. This was like a year ago. So yeah, he's dealing with some pain and trauma and shit, you know what I'm saying? So it makes it real easy to figure out why that demon possessed him over anybody else in the house. Still don't understand how it's been done in a church, but anyway. The demon starts fucking with Sarah, throwing her all around or whatever like that. Julia was laying in the bed and her arm was over top of her. I'm like, what the heck? Is that supposed to be like the husband's arm or whatever like that? Just starts dragging her through the bed. I'm like, what the fuck? Gabriel and Thomas get to him in time, but that shit was crazy. Then the possessed Henry had said something about them taking the bait, so that got Father Gabriel to thinking, alright? It goes back outside, you see this well, but the thing is, it's got this like seal of the Vatican or something on it. So they pull the seal off, and it's like a bunch of skulls lined up around it. You know what I'm saying? The further you go down, it's like a bunch of skulls, and it's like each like little tier and shit, whatever like that, right? So he lights a piece of clothing, whatever like that, throws it down there. All of a sudden, fire just comes up out of there, whatever like that. The gas, whatever like that, right? So him and Father Thomas end up going back to that hole, right? So they end up pulling out the bricks and they bash the door down. And it leads to like this little stairway. But the door also had the seal of the Vatican on it. Then it leads to this room where all these dead bodies are on back and forth for sides of the wall. Then you got this one dead body that's inside of a cage. All these dead bodies are priests. So he figures the one in the cage was not for getting out. He wanted to seal himself in. So probably that priest probably got taken over by the demon or whatever. There's another door on the side. He needs the key. So he thinks to himself, the priest that's in the cage probably has the key in there, which he gets. They get the key. It opens up to this room or whatever like that with his throne, and it's got a book. In the book, he finds out the demon's name. The demon's name is Asmodeus, right? They find out this demon is so powerful, he's going to be able to possess multiple different people. I'm like, oh shit. The thing is, he's not even trying to possess Henry. He's actually trying to possess Gabriel. So he could go through the Vatican, you know what I'm saying, and go, it's wild. I'm thinking to myself, how the heck can a demon possess a priest? You know what I'm saying? But I guess if you could possess somebody in the church or hollow ground, I bet you could pretty much possess anything, right? I mean, hell, you could do it with animals and shit. So now they know the demon's name, they gotta get back to Henry and start doing the incantations and whatnot. But I'm glad they said his name when they found it, because meanwhile, Henry was about to kill off Amy and Julia. But when Julia came in the room, Asmodeus was already possessing Henry and Amy at the same time, but only because Amy was touching Henry. Because when Amy let go, she went back to normal, whatever like that. So the demon Asmodeus is not as powerful yet. So Gabriel and Thomas get back up there, you know what I'm saying, doing incantations or whatever like that. But Asmodeus is real powerful, you know what I'm saying? He's still fighting it off, whatever like that. But at this point, Asmodeus is powerful enough, now he's got control of Amy. So he got control of Amy and Henry. We're like, oh shit. So to save both of them, because he really doesn't have a choice, Gabriel gives himself up to Asmodeus. I'm like, the fuck? Julia gets her kids and Thomas up out of there, you know what I'm saying? They get them driving off to the sunset, and that's as far as it goes with them. Meanwhile, Gabriel's trying to fight off Asmodeus because, like, this nigga's taking over him. He's got blood dripping off his face and everything. Like, he's trying to take him downstairs so he can take him to hell. All right, so I kind of missed the part. When it comes to Thomas, it came to a certain scene where Thomas is trying to be all holy and mighty or whatever like that. And Asmodeus was like, man, I know you be fucking whores too. You was smashing the priest's daughter, this girl by the name of Sheila or whatever like that, right? Now, Sheila is dead for whatever reason. So every time they try to battle off the devil or whatever like that, Gabriel has visions of Rosario and Thomas has visions of Sheila. These visions are wild too, you know what I'm saying? It's just crazy in this movie. So Thomas has to do a whole bunch of incantations to save Gabriel. And then when their visions come, they hit him with that power of Christ compels you, you know what I'm saying? And throwing crosses on their heads or whatever like that. And they finally send the demon back to hell where it belongs. The movie was freaking crazy. So they found out the family went back to the U.S. and they had a full-fledged recovery, whatever like that. Now, as far as Thomas and Gabriel go, they're going to be working together to stop a whole bunch of other demons, because apparently they found a map down there too. Now, this map shows they have like 199 other places where people are getting possessed by demons and whatnot, right? And that's what they do. They go out here murking demons. Now, the epilogue of this is, we found out Gabriel was doing this and he ended up dying in 2016. Natural causes and whatnot. Man, this movie was so freaking crazy, yo, with the special effects and everything. Yo, it was wilding out in this one. I really don't understand how anybody gets possessed on a church grounds. I mean, I guess because the demon was trapped there, but The Pope's Exorcist on Netflix, check it out.